The sound of pages turning means it's time for another episode from the Meredith Library Podcast Studio, bringing you the library's latest news, information, and fun.
Good afternoon, Anna.
Good afternoon, Matthew.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode number 23 of Check It Out here at the Meredith Library Podcast Studio.
Today is our special holiday episode. And what do we do on our holiday episodes, Matthew?
We interview some famous person who is very connected to the holiday.
So last year, we had Santa Claus himself call in from the North Pole and give a phone interview.
Yes, that was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a great time. But this year, it's even better because not only do we have Mrs. Claus ready to interview, but she's actually in studio at this moment. I'm looking at her right now.
Welcome, Mrs. Claus.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We are so excited that you are joining us here in person today at the Meredith Public Library.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love going and doing community outreach, local libraries and other community entities across the globe to spread Christmas cheer.
Well, that is just so wonderful that you are with us, and we understand that you took a direct sleigh ride here from the North Pole.
I did. I took a smaller sleigh. I borrowed a couple of the stronger, muscular reindeer and just had them, cart me off into the sky, and it was quite a wild storm last night, I have to tell you.
Well, Mrs. Claus, I know this is your busiest time of year at the North Pole, so we need to be very respectful of your time and probably get right into the questions as soon as possible.
Yes, I appreciate that. I do. I'm a very busy woman.
I believe it. It's not easy to run an entire organization like the North Pole.
People don't understand how much I am a central, participant in the Christmas functioning of the North Pole. Yes, Mrs. Claus, I'm sure that Santa would be absolutely lost without you. Oh, don't you believe it? So what is your first question, young man?
Well, we would like to know, what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, Santa and I, we both love It's a Wonderful Life. We watch it every year, right in our little cozy bungalow, and we even snuck into the movies to see it way back in 1946, and, that might seem like a long time to you, but to me, that's like a blink of an eye a dime, because I'm centuries old, just in case you forgot.
Yes, well, I would never ask a lady her age, of course.
Well, I'm as old as time itself, young man. Young lady, do you have another question for me? Mrs. Claus, Santa told us that having an overdue book gets you on the naughty list, as does misbehaving at the library. Can you elaborate on that? Like, how serious of an offense is that? Oh, Santa, he's a dramatic man. He talks such a big game. But he is a pushover. Good and evil, it's not so much of a binary. People have mistakes and nuance within them. We understand that sometimes you're just forgetful and you might, just forget to bring a book in because you have a very hard life. It's actually quite hard to get on the naughty list.
Good thing for some of us sometimes.
I mean, I know that when I peruse the naughty list, anyone that I see that doesn't return the cards from the grocery store, you stay on the naughty list for that one. That is unacceptable behavior.
Oh, okay, good to know. All right, so speaking of books and libraries, is there a library in the North Pole?
Oh, of course there's a library in the North Pole, and we have an elf librarian. Her name is Martha. She is an absolute gem. We go over to her house on Thursday nights for chicken pot pie, and it is just love. She is a gem of a woman. That sounds awesome. And after chicken pot pie, do you have a specific Christmas cookie that you want to eat after you have a good meal? Do you have a favorite? Oh, well, young lady, as a matter of fact, I do. I love sugar cookie cutouts, decorated with icing, specifically ones in the shape of a snowflake. There's nothing that I love more. Do you see the snowflakes on my sweater right now? I love snowflakes.
Why don't we switch gears just a little bit in our questioning? How many languages are spoken at the North Pole?
Well, there are about 7,000 languages worldwide, and we have to be relatively fluent in each one of them. It's about a 200-year process to go through elementary school in the North Pole, and most of it is language acquisition. I have to tell you so much. But Elvish is the indigenous language of the North Pole amongst the elves and myself, so, that's our primary way of talking.
Ooh, can you say something for us in Elvish?
Well, as a matter of fact, I can. This is how you say Merry Christmas in Elvish. If you were to come to the North Pole, this would be the best way to spread cheer amongst the fellow elves. You would say, Na Merye, I Tural Mary.
Oh, I love that. That sounds so cool.
Oh, yeah, thank you, young man. So, Mrs. Claus, how involved are you in the management of the elves and their various jobs? Like, is that part of what you do up in the North Pole to assist Santa Claus? Oh, well, yes, Santa's busy making deliveries. He also has to do a lot of visiting various places throughout the year to kind of survey and see what it's hip to the youth these very years. So I do a lot of the on-site management of the elves, of course. I'm a bit like a mayor. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, I have to say.
And how are the elves compensated for all that toy-making labor? I mean, they seem like they just work 24 hours a day practically to get all those toys ready every year for all the good little girls and boys all over the world.
Well, like Santa and me, it is a labor of love, and we really do like getting thank you letters and notes, so be sure to thank Santa, the elves, and then me for your presents.
Well, in addition to all that fun toy making that goes on at the North Pole, do elves have other job opportunities available there as well?
Oh, why, yes, the North Pole is a busy town and has nearly any job you can think of. It's just as your beautiful town of Meredith. We have male elves and we have doctors and, everything that a society needs to function.
All right, and, of course, we had to ask Santa this question last year, right? Because you can't have a North Pole interview without this question. How does Santa get to all those houses all across the world in one night? Santa told us it was Christmas magic.
He says magic because not everyone understands physics, but I taught Santa how to manipulate the space-time continuum. If you study hard in school, you'll understand it as well. Mrs. Claus, it was so great to have you here, and these answers were so fascinating. I feel like I have 100 more questions sprung from your answers, but I know that you're a busy woman and you need to get back to all of your various tasks. Christmas is right upon us. Well, you are quite right, young lady. Miss Anna was your name, yes. I do need to get back onto the sleigh and get home ASAP. Santa and the elves are expecting me.
Well, we would like to give you a present to take back with you to the North Pole.
Well, that is very kind.
Yes, we have this lovely ornament here that has the Meredith Public Library right on the front of it.
Oh, well, isn't that just dandy? Oh, that will go right on their Christmas tree in our little igloo bungalow. I'll have Santa just put that right on there, and I'll gaze at it every night before I go off into a sweet slumber.
Yeah, so you'll think of us fondly. And if you notice, Mrs. Claus, on the back of it, it actually says Meredith Public Library and the year, so it makes it like a keepsake for you.
Oh, well, that is just so kind and so lovely of you. And is this a one-of-a-kind?
Actually, those are available to purchase for anyone at our circulation desk for only $10.
Oh, well, I can only pay you with love. Is that all right?
For you, Mrs. Claus, it is a free gift.
Oh, well, that's quite nice. But for the lovely patrons of Meredith, it's $10.
Yes.
All right, well, I have to get on my way, but it was very nice talking to you. Matthew was your name, correct?
Yes.
And you, Anna. Yes, Mrs. Claus, that was a lovely interview. I appreciated you coming all the way down here.
Thank you for your time today, and please say hello to Santa for us when you get home.
Oh, I will. All right. Well, you take care.
Well, that was so much fun talking to Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, she's iconic.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go on to another iconic piece of Christmas.
True.
How about if we read to our listeners "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," also known as A Visit from St. Nicholas by Clement C. Moore.
I think that they would really enjoy that.
Yes, and this is our second annual reading of it, so I think it's a new tradition.
Yes, my family reads this poem every Christmas Eve, so...
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so let's do it.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in the hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.
The children were nestled, all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap.
When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash.
The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer.
With a little old driver, so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all!
As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too.
And then, in the twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound.
He was dressed all in fur, from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack.
His eyes, how they twinkled! His dimples, how merry! His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow.
The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread.
He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose.
He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
All right, that was awesome, Anna.
Yeah, it was so much fun. We're just doing our little poetry reading here.
Yes, and before we close out this special holiday episode, you have a very special question of the day for the audience, and for me, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, I do. Audience and Matthew, please let me know, what is a gift? And it doesn't have to be a Christmas gift. It's just a gift you have received in your lifetime that you found particularly special or memorable.
All right, I'll go first then and answer that. So I am thinking all the way back over, 30 years ago. So a friend gave me a book for Christmas, and it was called The Complete Book of Script Writing. And it was the first book that I had received on this topic because she knew that I was interested in writing and writing screenplays. So she, went to the bookstore and she picked that out and she bought it for me. And I think it was so special because it was so thoughtful. So that meant that she had listened, to things I was talking about and wanting to expand the type of writing I was doing. And then she took the time to find the right gift that matched my interests.
Well, it's very librarian of you that your favorite gift is a book.
True.
But yeah, it also feels like she, was being encouraging and supportive of your dreams.
Correct.
Which is very thoughtful.
And how about your favorite gift, Anna?
Mine, my best friend went through a big cross-stitching phase a couple years ago, and she cross-stitched me onto a t-shirt that I still sleep in to this day. A cross-stitch, very good one, very accurate one of this cartoon animal that I was very fond of from one of my favorite TV shows. His name is Appa, for those that know, you know.
So that's so cool. So that's kind of the same thing. She took her time to create something that she knew had a special meaning for you.
Yes, yeah, no, exactly. It seems like the theme, and it's a truth as old as Christmas itself, that the best gifts are the ones that are thoughtful, not necessarily the most expensive ones.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, we will look forward to seeing what our listeners say is their best gift ever as well.
Yes, it has been such a fun holiday episode here at the Meredith Public Library with you today, Matthew.
Always a pleasure with you, Anna.
All right, we'll see y'all for episode 24.
We'll look forward to it.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Jingle bell sound effect, courtesy of freesoundslibrary.com. Used under license, Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0. The Night Before Christmas by Clement C. Moore. Public domain. Sounds like we're at the end of another chapter. Podcast music titled Daytime TV Theme by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0. Podcast copyright 2024. Meredith Library Podcast Studio.